Imagine standing on a giant cruise ship surrounded by endless ocean in every direction. Water is everywhere. But here's the problem. You can't drink any of it. So with 6,000 people on board taking showers, flushing toilets, filling pools, and washing dishes, where does all that fresh water actually come from? Most passengers never think about where the water comes from. They walk into their cabin, turn on the tap, and clean water flows out instantly. They take a hot shower after swimming. They brush their teeth. They flush the toilet. They order coffee at breakfast. They drink ice-cold water at dinner. They see swimming pools, restaurants, laundry rooms, kitchens, and bathrooms working like a normal hotel. Everything feels simple. Everything feels automatic. But in the middle of the ocean, nothing about fresh water is automatic. There are no city pipelines connected to the ship. There is no underground water supply. There is no regular plumbing system from land. And the ocean around the ship is not drinkable. So the comfort passengers see above the deck depends on a hidden system working below the deck. That is why a cruise ship is not just a floating hotel, it is a moving water factory. So now the real question begins. If the ship cannot drink ocean water, and it cannot carry enough fresh water for the whole journey, then how does it supply thousands of people every single day? Where does the water for showers come from? Where does the water for kitchens come from? Where does the water for coffee, ice, laundry, pools, and toilets come from? The answer is not simple storage. The answer is not magic. The answer is engineering. A cruise ship takes seawater from the ocean, removes the salt, cleans it, treats it, and turns it into usable fresh water. In other words, the ship does not just carry water, it creates water while it moves. Now let's look at the numbers. One passenger on a cruise ship can use around 200 to 250 liters of water per day. That includes showers, toilets, sinks, food preparation, laundry, cleaning, restaurants, and other daily needs. Now imagine a ship carrying 6,000 people. If each person uses about 250 liters per day, the total becomes 6,250 liters, 1,500,000 liters of water every day. That is 1.5 million liters in just 24 hours. And this is not a one-time need. The ship needs this water every single day of the journey. For a 7-day trip, that can become more than 10 million liters of fresh water. That is why simple storage is not enough. A cruise ship is not just carrying passengers, it is supporting the water demand of a small town while moving through the ocean. The ship is surrounded by water, but that water is not safe to drink. Ocean water contains a large amount of salt. When a person drinks seawater, the body does not get properly hydrated. Instead, the kidneys must work harder to remove the extra salt from the blood. To remove that salt, the body needs even more water. So instead of reducing thirst, seawater can make dehydration worse. This is the strange problem. The largest water source on Earth is right under the ship, but for humans, it is almost useless without treatment. That is why a cruise ship cannot simply pump ocean water into the taps. First, it has to remove the salt. Only then can ocean water become safe, usable fresh water. Cruise ships make fresh water by turning seawater into usable water. This process is called desalination. Desalination means removing salt from seawater. The ship takes ocean water through special intake systems. Then the water passes through filters to remove dirt, sand, and small particles. After that, the main system removes the salt. Cruise ships usually use two main methods. The first method is flash evaporation. The second method is reverse osmosis. Flash evaporation uses heat. Reverse osmosis uses pressure. Both methods do the same main job. They separate clean water from salty ocean water. Once the salt is removed, the water is not sent directly to passengers. it still needs treatment. The ship balances the water, adds minerals, disinfects it, stores it in tanks, and then pumps it through pipes across the ship. So when someone turns on a tap in their cabin, that water may have been ocean water only a few hours earlier. The first major method is called flash evaporation. This method uses heat from the ship's own engines. A cruise ship's engines produce a huge amount of heat while moving the vessel through the ocean. Instead of wasting all that heat, engineers use part of it to make fresh water. Here's how it works. Seawater is pulled into a special chamber. Inside that chamber, the pressure is reduced. Normally, water boils at 100 C, but when pressure is lowered, water can boil at a much lower temperature. So when hot seawater enters this low-pressure chamber, it quickly turns into steam. This is called flashing, but the salt does not turn into steam. The salt stays behind as concentrated salty water. Then the steam rises, touches a cooler surface, and turns back into liquid water. That liquid is fresh distilled water. In simple words, the ship heats seawater. The seawater turns into steam. The salt is left behind, the steam cools down. And clean, fresh water is collected. That is why flash evaporation is so smart. The ship is not just burning extra energy to make water. It is using heat that already exists from the engines. So the same machinery that moves the ship also helps create fresh water for thousands of people on board. The second major method is called reverse osmosis. This method does not use heat, it uses pressure. First, the ship pulls seawater from the ocean. Then the water passes through filters to remove larger particles like sand, dirt, and small debris. After that, powerful pumps push the seawater at very high pressure through special membranes. These membranes are extremely fine. They allow tiny water molecules to pass through, but they block salt, bacteria, and many other impurities. The clean water that passes through is collected. The salty leftover water is called brine, and it is sent back into the sea. Reverse osmosis is important because it gives the ship another way to make fresh water. If engine heat is not enough, or if more water is needed, this system can support the supply. Many modern cruise ships use both systems together. Flash evaporation uses heat. Reverse osmosis uses pressure. Together, they help turn ocean water into fresh water for thousands of people on board. Here is the surprising part most people never hear. After the ship removes salt from seawater, the water is still not ready to drink. Not because it is dirty, but because it is too clean. When water is produced through flash evaporation or reverse osmosis, many minerals are removed with the salt. That means the water can become almost empty. No natural minerals, no normal taste, no balanced chemistry. At first, that sounds perfect, but it creates a problem. Water with almost no minerals can taste flat, strange, or slightly metallic. It can also become aggressive inside pipes. That means it may slowly react with metal plumbing and damage the system over time. So the ship has to rebuild the water before passengers can drink it. Engineers add controlled minerals back into the water. They balance the pH. Then they disinfect it with chlorine, UV light, or other treatment systems. Only after that does the water become safe, stable, and comfortable to use. So cruise ship water is not just filtered ocean water. It is ocean water that has been cleaned, rebuilt, balanced, and protected before it reaches your glass. So now you know the secret. A cruise ship is surrounded by water, but almost none of it is useful to humans. It cannot simply pump ocean water into the taps. It cannot carry enough fresh water for the whole journey, so it has to make its own. Deep below the passenger decks, the ship takes seawater from the ocean, removes the salt, filters the impurities, disinfects it, adds minerals back, balances the chemistry, stores it, and then sends it through hidden pipes to thousands of people on board. That water becomes your shower, your coffee, your ice, your dinner, your swimming pool, and your drinking glass. Passengers only see the comfort, but below them, machines are working every hour to solve a survival problem. A cruise ship is not just a floating hotel, it is a moving water factory. And that is where cruise ship water really comes from. If you enjoyed discovering this hidden engineering secret, make sure to like, subscribe to Exhaust Zone, and share this video with someone who loves learning how machines really work. Because sometimes the most fascinating technology is hiding in plain sight.